Hello and welcome to episode 69 of the DaebakCast.
Yep.
This is a weekly podcast where the three of us come together each week to talk about K-pop and whatever's current in the industry. This week we have our releases week. However, we're doing it a little differently, so please leave some feedback in the comments about like what you think about this format, if it's a lot easier to digest and stuff like that. And then we also have a couple more topics as well. So
but just for this, instead of the whole episode being releases, it's just gonna be topics 3 and 4, and we're kind of just like cutting out we're just not even gonna mention the songs that we don't want to talk about, and just cutting out some of the fluff, like the date that it came out, because that doesn't really matter.
Rest in peace. It's a ballad, basically.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, so just comment in the full episode or the parts, like if you like this way more than the old way, or if you like the old way more, so we can go back to it, or just whatever people are more interested in.
Yep. All right. So as always, as you saw before, I'm joined by Nate.
Give a little more love. Give a little more time.
Red Velvet. It's one of my favorite songs by them too.
I agreed.
Not a lot, just a little.
From Rookie.
A little.
All right. And as always as well, I'm joined by Andrew, who usually has 3 things.
I usually have stuff on my wall either, but I'm moving, so.
Yeah.
All your amiibos are gone.
Yeah, well, then,
His amiibos, but he's still got the Pip-Boy.
Yeah, I have to figure out a way to pack all this stuff without destroying it, but we'll see. Anyway, number 1. No Infinity War spoilers, but oh my god, it was amazing. I know it's probably
Actually, kind of like... If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's honestly like as a Marvel fan, it's one of my favorite movies like ever.
Yeah, I think it's my number 1.
I don't know. Like I'd have to... I'm planning on rewatching all of them, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close, easily.
Yeah, it might be recency bias, but currently it's my number 1.
Oh
man, I've rewatched. I'm at Thor 2 right now,
like,
and I just don't want to watch it because Thor 2.
Hey, I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, you have
it's 100% the worst one. It's not. I don't
Dark
hate
World.
it. I don't hate it.
Dude,
like
the Dark Elves suck.
Yeah, I don't hate it like The World. I think it's an okay movie, but it's easily the worst of the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Also, I'm playing God of War, which is just a way better for Norse mythology story.
But I mean, they have Christopher Eccleston, aka like the second best Doctor Who incarnation.
Yeah, and he does literally no acting.
I mean, he kind of hates acting anyway. But like, if I were to put into context how much I like, at least just on a like gut feeling, how much I love that movie, it gave me basically like the same chills that the end of Rogue One did, and I love Rogue One, so. That should just put it in perspective how much I ended up loving that movie. So yeah, seriously, go see it if you're living under a rock. Like literally, just like throw the rock out of the window or something like that. I don't know. Go see it. Number 2.
Wait, if you're living under a rock, you don't have any windows.
I don't know. Like throw it at somebody else's window. I don't know. Number 2. For those of you that watched the unit, which is not me, you might have. Minju wasn't on the unit though, unfortunately.
No.
Unikid was on the unit though.
And
Minju was on K-pop Star.
Yeah, she was on K-pop Star. So, for those that have been following either of those, or for those of you like Jacob that are still mourning the arc, we have found new salvation in a group called Khan.
Yeah. They're not a group, they're a duo, but they are a group, but it's just the 2 of them.
Yeah, but just like seriously, I watched the cover they did of Bruno Mars and the Cardi B remix of Finesse. Amazing. Like that's exactly what I want from that group. It's so good. I want more New Jack. We'll get into the New Jack Swing later, but yeah, it was so perfect. So we'll put a link in the description because yeah, Khan, you have to watch them. You have to seriously. I think they could do well.
They're turning out well, and I hope they stick with sort of like the hip-hop R&B sort of side, because I think they'd be really, really strong, and I think they could get a decent following.
And because
they should also get... Oh, good.
Unikib's a great singer and a great rapper, too. I was shocked at how well she pulled it off. Anyway, Nate, you're about to... This is kind of like a mini review.
They should also get Tiger JK to feature on their track, like they did on Minju's debut solo thingy.
Yunus.
Or No, wasn't that a Minju song featuring Yuna?
No, that was Yuna.
Was it?
Wait, yeah, Yuna can't. The Mole Mole Mole.
Oh no! Wasn't he on Minju's song too?
Was he really? I don't remember this.
I think he was
How
also
dare you?
featured on Minju's song.
I thought you were the ARC stan.
That also has Yuna on it.
Anyway.
Goodbye Rain or whatever it's called.
No, that's. It's got Hyungyu from Bromance.
Oh no, yeah, that's right.
Bromance, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, number 3.
Yeah, I got them mixed up.
Yeah, number 3, which is kind of a serious sort of thing. I just want to give so much love and shout outs and prayers to Total Biscuit. Just very recently, he announced that basically he has to retire. For those that don't know, he's a very prominent video game critic, mostly in PC games. He's very much the inspiration for our format for this show, like how we like do our overlays and everything. Like, yeah, so he's a very big influence on this show. And for the past couple of years, he's been struggling with cancer, and basically just sort of reached the point where he has to, like, it's very slim odds at this point. It sucks. It couldn't have happened to like such a good guy, like such an influential like member of the gaming community. So yeah, just really like I just want to give him all my love, and I hope that like it's just been incredible how he's been able to survive like this long when he was given so like this much of a chance to live until this point. So yeah, it's just I it sucks, and I hope that like in some way we can do his legacy proud by covering Korean pop music or just being like, I guess, reminiscent of his like, critical style. So yeah, I don't want to break it down too much, but he's definitely an important like influence for us.
Yep. Was that third thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, I'm Jacob. You knew that. No blow note. Hashtag
Doesn't
no blow
exist
note.
anymore.
Hashtag where's blow note.
Hashtag 69.
Yep.
If somebody wants to buy Nate or no, Jacob a blow note,
Buy me, sure.
No.
Buy me one too. I don't care.
If somebody wants to buy Jacob a blow note.
I think it's at my house. I have no idea where it is. So, anyways,
No,
I
if somebody-
have to pack up.
That was
I have
the
to
last
pack up
time
next
you
week,
used
so I
it
might
was at
find
home.
Oh no,
yeah.
here's what we can do. Here's how we can we're famous now. We can like influence our fame because there's probably a lot of new people.
Yeah, we're so famous with our 180
Somebody,
subs.
the first person to bring Jacob a blow note at KCON New York wins, I don't know, something.
You'll win the truly Daebak fan
There's
of
no
the year.
way. Yeah,
we'll win
fan
Judy-
of the year.
Fan of the
All
year
180 of them.
Hey, by then we'll be over 200 probably by the end of the year.
Yeah. I mean, that'd actually be crazy being recognized when you only have like less than 100, less than 200.
What?
subs.
Victoria said she was going, so
Yeah.
there's at least one
Yeah,
fan
yeah.
that'll be there.
You better be
Yeah.
there, Victoria. You better be there.
Anyways.
That was not a threat.
Now, we can get into topic 1, which is
Super
Korean
serial.
War ending
Yep.
last
Ish.
week.
Or
Or is it this week?
It's a complicated thing, but we'll.
Yeah, I mean it's been going on for
Yeah.
talks. Have been
Yeah,
in
but the
progress.
thing where they shook hands.
Yeah, that was. I want to say it was last week.
It was cool.
Yeah, that
Well,
way-
it was. I mean,
It
yeah,
was about
whatever.
it was a little over a week ago. Well, 2
Yeah.
weeks by the time this goes up. So
Yeah.
Anyways, Andrew, with the news.
all right. So I mean, we actually the very early like episodes of the DaebakCast, we actually covered a topic regarding the Korean War and how I remember like I clearly vividly remember towards the end of that I'm just like I hope we see not necessarily reunification, but I hope we see end to like the war in my lifetime. Like little did we know only a year later that this would end up happening. It's insane. So just to give a bit of a background on the Korean War, this was going to be basically like a bit of a history lesson for those of you, so like strap in. I'll try to keep it simple. Basically, the North Korea and South Korea went to war with each other in like the 50s.
Yep.
Basically a proxy war between essentially it was like the first major conflict of the Cold War, where basically there's just like communism
yeah.
versus like capitalism. So it's a proxy war basically. US and Russia were fighting through both North Korea and South Korea. So war ends in a stalemate. They decide to basically almost cut the country in half right at the 36th parallel, and they basically they create what's called the demilitarized zone, or the DMZ, where it's a guarded armed border separating North and South Korea. And technically speaking, even though there hasn't been any like shots fired since in over like 50-60 years, they were still at war. But as of very recently they have begun, or they're in the process of beginning these peace talks in where they would actually like dissolve the state of war completely, which
because they signed an armistice.
Yeah, which is incredible.
Not a peace treaty.
Yeah.
So technically the war still was on. They just weren't fighting it.
Yeah, so basically the official document name
other than blasting Big Bang across the border.
Yeah, they basically
in 2021.
It's interesting. There's going to be an entire generation that won't understand like how like the real weird mind games that they play over the DMZ.
Yeah, giant flags and
just like, or how like they obviously, since like media and like all that sort of stuff is controlled in North Korea, they're I guess some guerrilla tactics they'd use is they'd airdrop like music and movies and all that sort of stuff, and they keep in Korea, even though most like first world countries have switched to completely digital television signals, they keep analog television signals so that people in North Korea can watch South Korean television, so that they can
like satellite.
Yeah, or no,
like just over the air.
Yeah, just like real like the old like the old antenna ones. Yeah. So that basically they can still like keep up with news and that sort of stuff. So like if they want to keep them informed. So yeah, it effectively I guess all that's ending, and I mean I'd say the most like impactful sort of segment of this is when literally like they Moon Jae-in and Kim Jong-Un, like they're at the DMZ and like they walk like literally across the border and like they're shaking hands. Like I have the video up right now from ABC in courtesy of Australia. So like it's so crazy to see like how this just sort of happened so suddenly. Like literally we just had the Olympics like not too long ago, just like a couple of months ago, and I guess the underlying theme of the Olympics was that they were trying to like push for peace. And I mean, like you started to see the sort of like the tensions like melting, where Kim Jong-un's sister went to visit the opening ceremonies and they walked in as one unified Korea and all that sort of stuff. And I know it's usually with the Olympics it's sort of a pipe dream that when they're talking about like, oh, we want world peace and all this sort of stuff, like usually after that they just start bombing shit. Like the not even like when Russia hosted the Olympics, not even like a couple weeks after it ended, they invaded Georgia. So, and for this to happen, it's just incredible. So I guess I want to get your guys' thoughts on it, basically.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's obviously it's a really good thing that this is happening. I honestly don't think it's gonna change much. Like you said, like I don't think they're gonna stop sending media over or anything, because North Korea is not going to change. They're still going to be like super propaganda, like super closed borders. The DMZ is still going to exist. There's still going to be soldiers aren't like there. I feel like I don't. It's not like they're just going to pull everything out, open the borders, and basically just like make it a open border or anything.
Well, I mean, doing but that would be.
That's too much.
Catastrophic.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it'd be like
exactly.
It'd be like the Berlin Wall, where basically like the famous. Most of you probably weren't born when this happened, but like the famous images that you've probably seen in your textbook of like people like breaking down the Berlin Wall. At first, it wasn't like they weren't letting everyone over like the border between East and West Germany. It was only people that had like, certain passports and everything. Afterwards, there was just such a flood of people. They're just like, okay, let everyone through, and then that's when you get those iconic scenes. I don't think North Korea wants any of that, honestly, because they know everyone would just make for hell or high water, like make their way to South Korea. And I'm sure South Korea wouldn't want, like, that's basically like a huge refugee sort of situation too. I don't know if they'd have the infrastructure to sort of deal with that at this point.
It definitely would have that same effect, actually. Also, none of us were born.
I was going to say, even I wasn't alive.
Yeah, 1989.
When
the wall but I mean, like, well, technically the Iron Curtain didn't fall until like 91, even though the Berlin Wall was...
Well, yeah, Iron Curtain's completely different, though.
Yeah,
that's
but
like countries, USSR.
Yeah, it definitely. Yeah. That's the. I guess that was like the fall of communism in a way. Yeah. But yeah, it's. Yeah, I feel like.
Wait, hold on. What? Chance to make Nate feel old. Were you born before or after the fall of communism?
I was born before. Barely.
But in all seriousness, no, I feel like.
Hey, communism hasn't fallen. We still have North Korea.
It was called the fall of communism. All right?
Oh wait, no, yeah,
God.
okay. This is saying 1989. So I wasn't. It was 1989 to 1922. It is from 89 to 92. So it depends on where if you start or the end.
Yeah, the Iron Curtain didn't completely fall until
because I wasn't alive when the Berlin Wall came down, and that was like the beginning of it. I was alive by the end of it.
Yeah,
but still, sure.
The USSR was a thing.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
In a way, this kind of feels like this generation's Berlin Wall situation in a way.
Yeah.
We'll
I
see,
think
we'll see what comes after it, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I don't know if it's
the DMZ comes down, then yeah, that's definitely that. I think right now it's more similar to like, I don't know, like China and Taiwan.
Yeah,
like they're just saying that they're at peace, but like nothing's really gonna change that much.
So I think this is a huge step, though.
But yeah, exactly. It's obviously a first step.
I don't think that unification is even in the cards at all, in my opinion.
No.
Like, but that being said, I think North Korea is still in constant danger of everything falling down.
Falling apart, yeah.
Because, like, with the stuff being sent over constantly and stuff like that, the citizens are becoming more and more aware of, like, what's actually going on. Because, like, I've seen a few, like, again, it's just stuff I've seen on YouTube, but, like, I think it's like Vice documentaries and stuff like that.
Yeah,
where people go into North Korea and, you know, interview people and whatnot, and they're sure enough are coming more and more aware of everything.
Yeah, so, I think reunification's not possible until like the entire regime is destroyed.
Basically. And I mean, if you, in comparison to like Kim Jong-il or Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-Un is like nowhere near that level of like he's kind of insane still, but he's nowhere near the level of insanity that his father and his grandfather. I mean, Kim Il-sung is Kim Il-sung is straight up like a murderer or whatever. So, like,
I mean, I think a lot of the root of his insanity is like he's trying to be like his grandfather.
Yeah, he's trying to.
Like that's where the whole look from, like his wardrobe, his hairstyle, everything.
It definitely feels like he's trying to live up to that legacy. But I mean, he's his own guy. Like, unlike his father and his grandfather, he had a Western education. He went to school in Europe. He's very intelligent. Like, despite being like kind of like portrayed as like
didn't he go to college here?
Yeah, he studied abroad. Like he's not ignorant to like the outside world. He knows the sort of benefits of like how things work in terms of capitalism. And I mean, like, sure, he's literally like I don't want to like sort of like downplay it, but he's kind of a regular dude. Like he plays video games, like he plays World of Tanks. Like you could see whenever, like you could follow Steam and like whenever something pops up in North Korea, that's Kim Jong-un like playing World of Tanks or some other Steam game. Like he listens to like music videos and all this sort of stuff. Like he's definitely more receptive to like the outside world than his father and grandfather were, which is why like it's not surprising that he's. And with that, and like I guess basically just maybe like be getting tired of like all of like the pressure and all this sort of stuff. It's not surprising that he's willing to like, extend an olive branch in this sort of way.
I think another thing to take into consideration is the fact that a lot of North Korean defectors get like discriminated against when they're in South Korea. So I think that's another problem as well. Is they're gonna have to have a lot of awareness campaigns, I guess, if anything like that ever were to happen. Because, there's a lot of, like, even in South Korea, there's a lot of misconceptions about life in North Korea and just as there are in North Korea about the outside world. So, yep.
And the interesting thing is that, basically, from what I know, like South Korea is a very, very conservative country, as most Asian countries are. For the most part, most of them don't want anything to do with North Korea because they feel like they feel like it'd be such a burden to take it like on all.
I was gonna say even like Koreans don't want reunification because the amount of money it would cost to build that country and bring it into the first world like would be enormous.
Yeah, especially when you consider like
basically
North
Korea's gain would be a lot of South Koreans' loss because
South Korea would have to pay for most of it. It's or China would pay for it, and then they would just take that land, like, and it wouldn't really be reunification. It would just be China, taking over half of the North Korean peninsula or Korean peninsula.
I mean, with this sort of situation, again, it's sort of like, I guess how I'd want to see, or how I'd want to position this, again, one, it being a first start, and two, it's definitely, again, I feel like it is interesting to see how most Koreans will react to this, because some of it, like, again, the Blue House was, like, I guess, highly criticized for, I guess, being more warm, or like being more willing to like have peace talks and negotiations with Kim Jong-Un and the North Korean regime, whereas
so is that the South Korean White House, is the Blue House?
It's the Blue House.
Because like before, like, I mean, like with Park Geun-hye, I mean, like, well, it's crazy how we went from like somebody that was like or investigated for corruption, ousted, and to a president that literally got like peace talks getting to work. Like, that's insane. But that aside, like previous regime or previous presidencies were very, like, they didn't want any, or they wanted no peace talks, or they wanted no open communication whatsoever with North Korea. But yeah, again, with the I guess the more liberal side of the spectrum taking over in the aftermath of those the impeachment and the elections, the Blue House is definitely way more willing to get it done. And also, again, I don't want to like delve into too much politics or whatever, because this isn't that isn't really the point of this show. But so it's very interesting to see like how the U.S. has been involved in all of this, because I mean, again, like U.S. is very much one of like the biggest ally that South Korea has, and
South Korea is one of the U.S.'s biggest allies as well.
Yeah, definitely. So. Yeah, like, if the U.S. didn't have a military presence in South Korea, like North Korea would have bombed them by now, because there's nothing like the only thing that kept North Korea from invading or like attacking South Korea was the threat of like pissing off the U.S. So, like, I mean, like, surprisingly, this has been all building up since like Obama was in office, which was like, I mean, even was like just 2 years ago, but. When under the Obama administration, they started a policy of sanctions, not specifically on North Korea, but on North Korean allies. So what they do is like, okay, anyone that was giving aid to North Korea or being sympathetic to North Korea, they'll give some type of sanctions on them. So it would put pressure on their allies to be like, okay, or on North Korean allies, like, oh, okay, stop acting like stupid, like basically just like discipline like a whiny child or whatever.
Yeah.
Which basically what a lot of like North Korean aggression has been over the past like 20, 30 years. Under the Obama administration, they actually there was never a case where they imposed those sanctions, but under the Trump administration, they actually did. They were very, very hard line on these sanctions. So it's very interesting to see. Like, again, both sides, even like the American political spectrum, have some sort of influence on this decision. And I mean, for as crazy as it's been, like, it's or as crazy divided it's been, definitely both sides of the spectrum can definitely take credit for it, because if Obama never implemented the sort of sanctions, the Trump administration would have never like gone through with him in the first place, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess just not to delve it again too much into politics or just drag this out too much. I guess where do you guys see this going in the future? Like, do you really think that like any type of, do you think we can, maybe not now, like I don't think they'll end up opening the border, but do you think that there will be open trade, I don't know, like free pass between the borders?
I think they'll be more lenient going forward, like both sides, but I think it's going to be slow but sure, rather than very fast. Like, it's still going to take many years before we see any more like large scale progress, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly how I feel. Like, nothing's going to change in the short term. I think slowly, unless something changes in, I don't know, the next Korean election, the president's super conservative and shuts everything down again. Like, if they keep going through with this, I think eventually we'll see more open borders and more open trade and ideas and stuff. But it's gonna take a long time. It's definitely not anything short term.
I mean, it took them God, it's been it's been well over 60 years just to get to this point where they're about to end the Korean War. Imagine how much longer it might take for them just to get to normalize relations. And it's interesting, the official document that they signed, because another one of the iconic scenes was them like they were. I don't know exactly where the signing took place, maybe somewhere near the DMZ, but yeah, they were signing this, what is called the, oh god, I don't know how to pronounce this, the Panmunjom Declaration, which is sort of like the, I guess their plan going forward. And reading through this just a bit, some of the stuff they're talking about is South and North Korea will reconnect the blood relations of the people and bring forward the future of co-prosperity and unification led by Koreans. So yeah, they're basically talking about like, okay, we'll work together. They want to end the sort of alleviate military tension, solid peace regime. Bring an end to the unnatural state of armistice. Yeah, basically, it definitely seems like they're like both sides are willing to play ball, especially because North Korea is definitely on its last leg when it comes to like food supply and all this sort of resources.
Well, the thing is, like you said, like the Trump administration started pushing these sanctions to actually like follow through with them, and so China started sanctioning North Korea, and I think like they were very heavily damaged by that.
I mean, China's North Korea's like
the only source of anything.
Oh yeah, only ally. They're the
like
only
all
ones.
Their resources, everything comes from them.
So
like when they stopped, they're just like that's what I think truly pushed this through was Trump pushing sanctions to China and China pushing sanctions to North Korea to get North Korea to actually like stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess just on my end, I am very optimistic on it. When I first heard it, there was a lot of I guess skepticism coming out of it because especially on like places like Reddit where they're like I went to like
where people
Korea.
have no idea what they're talking about.
Well, I mean, people have no idea what they're talking about in the first place, but basically, according to like the Korean specific Korean subreddit, like the news was sort of breaking from like what you would consider like I guess a tabloid sort of news service. So there was a lot of skepticism coming out of it, but I guess once these actual like confirmations came through, I guess they were more receptive to it. But the most impactful comment that I saw was from somebody on like Reddit World News, and they were talking about how I don't know if they're an expat or whatever, but they were talking about how their mom like started crying when they saw the news because basically it's just been literally a generation since the last time they've had any sort of like peace talks between the two countries. So yeah, I feel like even though we really don't know what the future is, I feel like this is definitely like it's a sliver of hope that I want to be optimistic about it.
Yeah, I mean this has to happen. This has to be the first step. So like it's obviously a step in the right direction. Yep. Depending on how long it takes to take that next step is another question. But it's not like there's anything bad could come of this. I mean, they need to do this to continue onward. So yeah, it's definitely a good thing. There's definitely hope for the future.
Yeah, I feel like unlike the Middle East conflict, where basically you've had so many like peace talks,
thousands of years of war.
Because
religious war.
Yeah, because I mean, like everyone thought, between like Netanyahu and Arafat, they got everything figured out between Palestine and Israel, and then like Israel gave up the Gaza Strip and everything, and they're still sending bombs over at each other. Like unlike that situation where basically it's just deeply rooted like racial and like population sort of things, where like it's just like religious differences. Like these are both Koreans. Like I feel like they're more willing to come together on the fact that they come from similar ancestry. Like this like that stretches
same
like
ancestry.
Well before like the Korean War ever started. So I feel like they're more willing to come together in that way.
Yeah, I mean it was less than 100 years ago that they were one country. Like, well, it might be more than that now. I'm not 100% sure when it was actually split.
But. Yeah, I mean, like their blood or their generations of people that they went through Japanese occupation together. They went through World War II together, and like all this sort of stuff. Like so, yeah. I think like even though as outsiders, like we really don't know that much about it, and honestly, like there's only so much that like textbooks and information off of like CNN and Wikipedia can tell us. But it is still a good step, and I really hope that we're like 5-6 years like down the road, like we're talking about like where this is what started the change. Like this is like this again, where this is, we look back on this as a very important moment of history. Like this is where an entire chapter of history, and not just like another like page.
Yeah. If we ever want to get real deep into politics, I could get one of the guys I studied abroad with who does like news shows in like Southeast Asia for like political correspondent.
That'd be interesting.
He's American, but yeah, he just studied like Asian politics and has a bunch of politics degrees and does like news correspondence for politics in Asia.
That's definitely an interesting topic, and
so if we ever want to get like real deep into North and South Korea politics, we could bring it. I could probably ask him. He'd probably do it.
Cool.
However, I only recently noticed this, but the song doesn't have any chord progression at any time, so there is no real like true melodic motion. There's just this lower synth that's going like boom boom boom, and sometimes in scale degrees it goes like 7 1 1 1 1 1 or like 5 1 1 1 1 1 1, and it's just